All right. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Let's just get a synopsis of your story and then how that impact was on the family, because I think you have a very um not unique, but we all, everyone traverses this area, this journey very differently. And just where you were in the living, breathing family that you have, and the timing of this, couldn't be less convenient, right? It's never convenient. Uh,
Right. Never a convenient time to get cancer for sure.
Never.
But in the February 2021 is when I finally went to the doctor. So I had found this lump, and it was actually you couldn't feel it to the touch. You do
Mm,
your own tests in the shower and your own exams or lying on a bed, but it wasn't on the surface. I couldn't feel
mm,
anything. But when I got into my bra, bending over and getting in, I thought, oh my gosh, what is that? But I
mm,
didn't want to freak out. I let it go a few weeks. Maybe it's just one of those things that just goes away and you don't want to blow it up into a big deal.
mm-hmm,
And I finally went, and that was in February. In October, right before that, I had my annual mammogram. So
mm,
I was not behind my
mm.
mammograms.
Oh,
And that's not very far, but it was just a regular standard mammogram.
mhm,
And I went to the doctor, and there was a lot of speculation of if the whole thing was cancer, because at that point it was already 7 centimeters, or if part of it was cancer. There was a lot of biopsies done, there was ultrasounds, and finally 3D imaging. And the 3D imaging is what led them to believe that the entire thing was cancer. And I can't believe that 3D imaging is not being done now, typically all the time for women under 50. But I was diagnosed, and my kids at that time were 4 and 7. I've been married for, it was 11 years at that time. And I found out when I was at work looking at my chart online,
mm.
and I found the results before the doctor called me. And I left work and I came home, and I remember falling into Jeremy's arms at the door and just, I said, I have it. And I just collapsed. And it was
Mm.
like the most heartbreaking time. We tried to keep the kids out of the loop for as long as possible while I was getting those biopsies done and figuring everything out, because if there's nothing to worry them, why start?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But then it was real.
Mm.
It was real.
Okay.
And there was so many biopsies that had to be done, and my case was brought to the cancer board on several occasions because I just had some other things going on, and it was in my lymph nodes, and they just couldn't believe the size of that tumor. And how, from October, from my mammogram, even to February when we found it, to May when I started chemo. At that point it was almost 14 centimeters now by the time I started chemo.
And what
And
did
in two of my
what
lymph,
did they, what did they attribute to such expeditious growth?
that's why I kept going to the cancer board. I have hormone receptor positive, and I have a very high chance of recurrence, but no one in my family has breast cancer, and I don't carry the gene for breast cancer.
Hmm.
So I don't really think that, it's only, a lot of people think that it's really only exclusive to that. And if you have the gene, or if it's in the family, and yes, that can be a factor, but you need to be careful no matter what. You
Absolutely.
need to be checking and really looking into things and being your own advocate.
Absolutely.
Um, that right now, all doctors are into breast sparing surgeries,
Mm.
meaning, I mean, my right breast was not salvageable at all. The nipple, the breast, the whole thing was not salvageable. but they tried to get me to keep my left breast.
Mm.
And they tell you that getting breast cancer, there's a 12% chance of getting breast cancer.
Mm.
Well, if I have it, that's 100%.
Right.
And then they say, well, then it's only, like 6% chance on the other side. It's very low, 3 to 6% chance. Well, in my mind, that's like 50%.
Mhm.
So I had it removed. And when they did the biopsy on that breast, I had invasive lobular carcinoma in situ. So I was already starting um, the precancer cells were already starting and forming in that breast. And so what happens is they really try to get you to spare the all the breast tissue you can. They
Mm.
don't want to take any unnecessary breast tissue. But in my experience and the people that I've seen that haven't done it now have when cancer comes back in the breast, it comes back with a vengeance
Mm.
and spreads. So I would, do what's right for you and don't always think that the doctor has to make the decision for you.